Hello and welcome to ELA Explained. In this video, we will look at two literary devices that deal with association and substitution, metonymy and synecdoche. Metonymy is a figure of speech that replaces the name of one thing with the name of something else closely associated with it. Common examples of metonymy include the bottle for alcoholic drink, the press for journalism, Mozart for Mozart's music. Why do authors use metonymy? Metonymy makes ideas more vivid and concrete. Abstract concepts can be difficult to imagine. Metonymy replaces them with something tangible. Metonymy creates concise and efficient language whereby a single word can communicate a complex idea. For example, Hollywood can stand for the people who work in the film industry. The chosen metonym highlights what the author wants readers to focus on. For example, referring to a king as the crown emphasizes his authority and office rather than his personality. Metonymy often adds symbolism and deeper meaning. Metonyms frequently carry cultural associations. The crown suggests power, legitimacy, and monarchy. The throne suggests rulership. The cross suggests Christianity. These associations enrich the text beyond the literal meaning. Let's look at two literary examples. When discussing slave songs in his narrative, Frederick Douglass writes, "Every tone was a testimony against slavery and a prayer to God for deliverance from chains." Chains is a metonym for slavery itself. Douglass does not simply mean physical chains. Instead, the word represents the entire institution of slavery, including oppression, lack of freedom, and forced labor. The metonymy makes an abstract social system concrete and easy to visualize. It also evokes images of imprisonment, making the suffering of enslaved people more immediate and emotionally powerful. The phrase deliverance from chains also echoes biblical language of liberation, reinforcing the moral condemnation of slavery. Our second example comes from Winter Dreams by F. Scott Fitzgerald. In this passage, the word glittering functions metonymically because it stands for wealth, luxury, and social status. The people and objects are important not because they literally sparkle, but because they represent a privileged social world. Fitzgerald uses this metonymy to capture the attraction of wealth and prestige. At the same time, the word hints at superficiality. Glitter shines on the surface but may lack substance underneath. In this way, the metonymy reflects one of Fitzgerald's central concerns, the emptiness that lies behind the pursuit of status and material success. A subtype of metonymy is synecdoche, a figure of speech in which something is referred to indirectly, either by naming only a part of it or by naming a larger entity of which it is a part. The distinction between metonymy and synecdoche is not always clear-cut, and different scholars sometimes classify the same example differently. Common everyday examples of synecdoche include hands for manual laborers, the law for a police officer, Liverpool for one of that city's football teams. Authors often use synecdoche to emphasize a particular characteristic of something. By selecting one part to represent the whole, the author draws attention to what matters most. Synecdoche makes descriptions more vivid. A concrete detail is often more memorable than a general term. Synecdoche can reveal attitudes or values, as the chosen part often shows how a speaker views people or things. For example, referring to workers as hands can suggest that they are valued primarily for their labor. Because synecdoche highlights specific parts, it can reinforce larger themes. For example, in war literature, soldiers might be reduced to helmets, uniforms, or rifles. This can emphasize dehumanization and the loss of individual identity. Let's look at two literary examples of synecdoche. In Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Mark Antony says,
"Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears."
The word ears stands for the people themselves, specifically their attention and willingness to listen. By focusing on the audience's ears, Antony immediately commands attention and emphasizes the act of listening. The Synecdoche also highlights the power of rhetoric, since Antony's success depends on persuading the crowd through his speech. In our next example from the Pimienta Pancakes by O. Henry, the word hand stands for the person who performs the action.
"Are you sure," I says to him, "that it ain't the hand that mixes the pancakes that you're after?"
Judson asks whether Jackson Bird is really interested in the hand that mixes the pancakes rather than the recipe itself. The Synecdoche therefore suggests an interest in the woman rather than her cooking. The phrase also echoes the expression to ask for someone's hand in marriage. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.